Hello and welcome to Money Talks. I'm your host, Ed Marshall. They say you can always find something positive even in a negative situation. Slumping oil prices have not bid well for Louisiana, especially our economy. But some financial analysts say that those low oil prices may incent more visitors to Louisiana for this year's the 2016 carnival season. More on that when we return.
Nightly Business Report. A new team, new editorial resources around the globe.
Chaos here continues.
The same objective, insightful analysis of the top business news of the day.
For the Nightly Business Report, I'm John Ford.
Every weeknight, a half-hour wrap-up of complete market coverage.
With the business and economic stories that are crucial to you.
Television's longest-running business program.
Nightly Business Report.
Weeknights at 5:30 p.m. on WLAE.
Well, welcome back. Although we won't know the impact of low oil prices on this year's carnival season until later this month or even later, some economists say those prices will add up to more foot traffic in the metropolitan area, which means more money being spent here. Predictions of good weather and hotel occupancy is through the roof, and that also adds up to big dollars. Direct and indirect benefits, economists say, could come to over $300 million. We'll see. Well, Family Gras in Metairie has a lot to do with those dollars.
Family Gras 2016 has been a record-breaking year. We've been really excited. We had wonderful weather. You know, we're a little concerned when it falls on that last weekend of January. It's so close after Christmas. It's always a challenge with that timing. But this year it was wonderful. Our hotels definitely saw great occupancy during that weekend, which is traditionally, like I said, a little more of a challenge because of where it falls in the date, but it was wonderful. The crowds, record-breaking, 110 is where we're estimating this year. So that's a record over last year, which I believe was 102,000. So really exciting. The artists, the parades, the food, the art walk, everything I think was enjoyed by all of the locals and of course the visitors. Because you know the Family Gras is really about generating more visitor spending in Jefferson Parish. You know, our economic impact is what we strive to grow as far as visitors overnighting in our hotels, spending their money with shopping and eating and having fun in Jefferson and the whole region.
Well, participating in many of the parades during Mardi Gras are men and women on horseback. They make up the group known as the Buffalo Soldiers Riding Club. The riders have tied themselves to the history of the original African-American Buffalo Soldiers who were established in 1866 and who fought and helped to develop our great country. The Buffalo Soldier Riding Group not only shares the history of the original warriors, but now shares that knowledge and wants to make sure that young people in the area know the importance of the Buffalo Soldiers' history.
The Junior Buffalo Soldiers are an entity of the Buffalo Soldiers around the country. Each chapter has Junior Buffalo Soldiers. We want to continue to promote the education, the tradition, and the culture and the customs of the Buffalo Soldiers. We do that by opening our doors up once a year to Junior Buffalo Soldiers. They come out between the ages of 6 and 18. We also teach them horsemanship, equine medicine. We teach them also accountability and responsibility in everyday life. In order, also, one of the big factors we strive on with the Junior Buffalo Soldiers is education. Education, commitment, honor, courage, responsibility. But you have to maintain a B average to be a Junior Buffalo Soldier. So we have people in the Buffalo Soldiers that participate and assist from all walks of life. Teachers, policemen, firemen, clergy, veterans, retirees, along that fashion. So everyone has a part in the development of these young people.
Jackson says later this year, the Riding Club will celebrate 150 years of the Buffalo Soldiers by meeting in Audubon Park, which, by the way, was an area where part of it was founded in terms of their history, and they will continue their celebration with riders in Texas. Sounds like a good time. I plan to have my horse out there as well. Well, the celebration of Carnival is also evident in our Washington, D.C. area, and that started over 68 years ago. It was a way for Louisiana's senators and representatives in Washington to still partake in Mardi Gras. That tradition continued this year. The king of what's commonly referred to as the Washington Mardi Gras was local attorney James Williams, and this year's captain was Representative Cedric Richmond. Congratulations to all. It was a wonderful time, even though there was a snowstorm. We participated and had a good time. And again, congratulations to the people at the Washington Mardi Gras with a crew of Louisianians. Well, Crime Stoppers always stresses safety for citizens, and that is never more important than right now as we celebrate so many things, including Mardi Gras. And of course, concerns for thousands of visitors that came into the metropolitan area for Carnival. Here's Executive Director Darlene Costanza.
It's Carnival time, which is a great time, and we all want to have fun at the parades. But it's important that we remember some common sense safety information. First off, the first thing that we see happening when we go into parades is people don't pay attention to where they're parking, and they're either ticketed or towed, or even your car could be broken into if you're leaving items on the seats and not locking your car. So the first thing we want to remind you from Crime Stoppers is to be sure you do not leave items in view, lock them in your trunk, and lock your car. Always make sure that you're parking in the direction of traffic, and make sure that you're parking in a legal spot. We don't want to have you sad because you're ticketed or towed afterwards because you parked illegally. The other thing is partying responsibly. We want to make sure that we're not overindulging. The other thing that we see happening is when people are overindulging and forgetting either where they parked or getting into altercations because of the alcohol. So make sure you always have someone that is with you that is your designated driver. We want to make sure that we don't overindulge and have fun at the parades. Last but not least, there are barricades there for your safety, and there are certain guidelines about where you can place ladders with children on them or even adults on them. Make sure that that ladder cannot fall within the 10-foot area of the ladder going forward, cannot fall into the street area or by the barricades. They're there for your safety. So these just simple common sense tips can make your Mardi Gras even better.
Always good information from Darlene Costanza. We'll be back with more right after this.
Classical Stretch the Esmond Technique is a full-body fitness program designed to help you lose weight, slenderize your body, relieve pain, and increase your energy. Whether you're 30 or 60, this scientifically designed strengthening and flexibility program will improve your posture, prevent injuries, and best of all, slow down the aging process. Join me for a Classical Stretch workout.
Sundays at 7:30 a.m. on WLAE.
Welcome back. News outlets often show teens who are in trouble with the law or those who are exceptional students, like sports figures and those who are doing well in terms of their grades. But rarely do they show or do you hear about teens who have not been in trouble with the law and don't show up on anyone's radar. That's because they simply need mentors to help them achieve their goals. With me now is a gentleman who knows very well how to help those young people who kind of are between the radar get to where they want to go. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Kendall Francis. It's good to see you.
Great, Mr. Marshall.
Kendall, of course, you created or came up with the concept of Blessed 26 back, I think, in 2004, somewhere back there.
About 11 years ago.
Talk to us about why you felt it was so important that this program be established.
First and foremost, I had a mentor. It started off with one, and it just grew to several more people. And when you have someone in your life, especially at a critical moment, especially at your adolescent stages, I went through something that it was traumatic to me when my parents separated, and I was a little lost and looking for some more guidance. And my older brother was just an older brother. He was the best older brother they could be. I actually describe him as my hero. I didn't have a lot of role models, but my brother was my hero growing up. But when he went away from college, I felt kind of by myself and isolated. And it was actually an athlete, a former Saints player by the name of Van Jakes. Something about the way that he spoke to me and helped me 3 days a summer, 4 years in a row. He looked beyond my football talents and just spoke to me as a young man. And it really, really made me want to stay focused, not let him down. And I really, really appreciated that. And as I matured and as I grew up, he stuck with me and kept up with me. And I never wanted to give him any bad news. And think back on how great that was. And I remember after college, I gave him a call and said, hey man, I want to pay you back for everything you've ever done for me. He goes, no, it's too easy. You need to do it for someone else. and he had given me some financial assistance through college and everything. I said, what do you want me to do, give a kid some money? And he was like, if that's all you think I did for you, then you've completely missed it. Wow. And as things began to happen and occur, and I started working at my place of employment at a news station and covering bad news every day, I kind of saw the need to do more and help out. It wasn't okay that I was okay. I need to bless someone as I was blessed myself.
And that's fantastic. And you know, you've gotten me on board with that,
Yes,
along with a number of other business people, it's a rewarding experience. And you first started out in Orleans Parish, and the big news that we want to share now is that the program is doing so well, it's expanded now to Jefferson Parish.
Yes, sir.
With the help of Councilman Mark Spears. Tell us about that.
Councilman Mark Spears, I really was not familiar with who he was, but he attended one of my classes one day. Our Orleans classes are hosted by the Entrepreneurial Institute, Professor Mark Quinn over at Xavier University in the business school. And he just walked in one day with a buddy of mine who actually started attending classes, offering his time to us. And he just sat patiently in class and observed what we were doing and participated in the discussion. And after he told me who he was and what he did, and he said, man, we need this in Jefferson Parish. I don't want to use my allocations of money to increase police patrol. I would rather give young people something they could really, really use, and I think you have it. I didn't solicit his help, and I'm not sure what he thought before he walked into that classroom, but it felt very, very encouraging that he heard something that he could get behind and support. And he said, look, we need this in Jefferson Parish, and actually he quadrupled the amount of time that he wants us to do. Usually, with the minimal funding that we do get, I usually do a class for about 10 weeks, 10 cycles, 10 classes, what have you. And he said, no, we need this all the way through the end of the school year. And that was so encouraging. I found myself in a rush coming up with more content, more things that we could do. And so having that sort of support has really, really helped. And right now, I just want to get some students and take advantage of this opportunity for the excellent facility he's provided.
And tell us where that is.
It's the Woodmere Community Center. I don't have the address right offhand. I apologize for that.
It's a nice
but
facility.
Yeah, it's a brand new facility. It was built, I think, last May. It was a $1.2 million facility in the Woodmere community. I think it's like the largest neighborhood in America.
Yeah, it's pretty large.
But there are a lot of great kids that attend West Jefferson High Schools. We want them to come out. It does not cost them a thing. Right. We have a snack for them. By the end of the day, we start at 4:30. We end up at 6:30. Food shows up at 6, and we help young people be the best them that they can be. All of our kids are not in trouble.
Right.
All of our kids don't want to get in trouble.
Exactly.
A lot of our kids are looking for, tell me how to do this crazy idea that I have. Right. And they just want someone to spend some extra time with them.
Right. And a lot of them have parents who are working 2 and 3 jobs,
exactly.
So they don't really have anybody there that can attach to them and just say, look, you know, just be that lifeline for them.
And that's it, man. I'm telling you, only 3% of our population executes all the crime. Everybody else is all right. And it's unfortunate that the negative images that they're bombarded with via misogynist music, negative imagery on televisions and music videos and things that unrealistic reality television. I actually do a part of our class where we break down the different streams of media and show how they play a part in all their lives. You know, I grew up a little differently. I wasn't always on stage, but with social media and cell phones, these kids are always on stage, answering for someone and doing what other folks like. And I used to have alone time. Instant messaging used to be passing a note in class and possibly getting caught by the teacher. It's different. It's a new day, but we like to work with them and tell them how to handle those and use those as tools rather than things that can possibly get them in trouble.
And you know, we're adding a financial component, and that's going to be a really good piece. And
no one really teaches you about money.
Right.
And usually you learn about money after you've lost a bunch of it.
Right.
That's how I learned about it.
Right.
And so if we can get them into that early and teach them how to invest in themselves, invest in their own future, and their friends should be basically their board.
Yeah.
And we talk about that. We talk about toxic people. We talk about some of their relationships. I'm like, I want you to write down the 10 top people that you contact the most, and you put a plus or a negative sign And a lot of kids like, can I put a question mark? I'm like, if you got to ask a question what your relationship is, it's probably negative.
Exactly.
And they've realized that they have a lot more time on their hands when they're not doing negative things with negative people.
Give us one of the success stories. I know that there are hundreds of them, but tell us about one of the ones that really sticks out in your mind.
Well, first of all, our kids are described as determined to be successful despite their circumstances. And we have a young man that I look up to. He has become my hero. And Mr. Collins, he actually came to us out of foster care. He was in the Boys Town group home and he was aging out. And for his 18th birthday, he had to grow up very, very quickly. And myself and some other people that just believe in this young man and seeing how determined that he is. His intrinsic motivation is motivating to some adults. And we were not going to let him fail. He had some goals that he was very, very serious about. And we were able to provide him with assistance. We don't have a lot of support. We obviously invite more, but I threw him a birthday party and invite everybody out to bowling, and everybody showed up with some sort of contribution. We were able to solidify an apartment for him in a safe neighborhood, and even though we had to drop him out of school with a 3.5 GPA because he didn't have a place to live, he still graduated before his classmates by attending Delgado, and because he's so resilient, he actually enrolled in Tulane University after some of them heard about his story. We actually did a film on it. Some awesome filmmaker. His name is Jonathan Jackson, and he is American New Wave Films, and he just filmed everything in class and put together a story. You can Google it, Illumination of Invisible Men, Bless 26. Awesome movie, and you can see the whole story.
Yeah, and for young people who want to get involved and who would like to say, you know what, if I can't be there as a mentor, at least I can do something financially, how do they get in touch?
All they have to do is go to our website. We have a Facebook page, Bless26. We're on Twitter, Bless26NOLA. Our website is bless26.info, bless26.info. You can just click on the boardroom. Students can fill out applications. They'll be approved almost instantaneously. All we want them to do is show up, have a positive attitude, and have the desire to learn.
And Kendall, thank you so much for being with us. And before I go, I have to congratulate you and Courtney on your upcoming nuptials. Couldn't think of a more wonderful couple. And she's been very involved with Bless 26
Yes,
as well.
she has. She's really helped a lot. She just dove right in. I never asked her to, didn't expect her to, but she's brought a lot of positive energy and light to myself and obviously the organization. Our kids already recognize her as my wife. It's kind of crazy, but it's been fun.
Great. I look forward to being there at your wedding. Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more when we come back, so you stay right here.
Weeknights at midnight on LAE.
Welcome back. Each month, a viewer asks community leader Ashton J. Ryan Jr. a question about the economy. Well, Jessica Landry from Terrytown wants to know if the low oil prices mean tough times ahead for the metropolitan area. Here's Ashton's answer.
The price of oil has been a major factor, but it's not so much in the New Orleans metropolitan area. It's south of us in areas like, Lafourche, Houma, Terrebonne Parish, even Lafayette, St. Mary Parish, other parishes have been affected. New Orleans' economy is very, very strong right now, and it's a combination of great hospitality business. It's a combination of petrochemical business, which is growing rapidly because the low natural gas is good for petrochemicals because they both use natural gas as a fuel. They also use it as a raw material in producing that. And so there are a number of petrochemical plant additions scheduled for the next couple of years. So generally the economy looks good now and looks like it will continue to be solid. Obviously a good oil economy and higher oil prices would be great for the area around us, and those people do come to New Orleans to shop and be part of our celebrations such as Mardi Gras. So we'd like to have them enjoy the great economy we're having. But in general, the economy looks good for the next several years. I don't see anything that would really derail us from that.
And there you have it. If you'd like to ask Ashton a question, go to Money Talks with Ed Marshall on Facebook and leave your question. The International Arts Foundation of New Orleans is working to get local business to do business with companies in South Africa. Ernest Kelly, the foundation's president, talks about those plans. Take a listen.
The International Arts Foundation has as its mission to kind of expose our community to world cultures. That's what we're really about. And through that, through economic development and education is what the mediums we've tried to use to do that. And through education comes the arts. So we've been very involved in the arts, and what we've found that the arts is a good way to really get people of different ethnic groups and different cultural ties to sit down and talk about other things. And out of those appreciation for the cultures have come conversations about things that are needed, goods and services, so on and so forth. So we found it a good base. And the foundation, for instance, in New Orleans, we produced one of the only world festival in New Orleans for 20 years prior to Katrina. And we produced a similar festival in South Africa for 5 years, from 2005 to 2010. Excuse me. And what it has done for us is help bring a lot of people to the table with ideas about how to make this sister city relationship work, which the mayors of New Orleans and the mayor of Durban, South Africa, signed an agreement to make this sister cities. And what that meant was there were culture exchange and exchange of best business practices. And New Orleans has benefited from it well, because we've had several businessmen from here go there and get the opportunity to do business. On a national level, the foundation has also worked with the U.S. Department of Commerce, which has as an initiative to help New Orleans businesses do business in Africa. So there are resources available to New Orleans businesses that want to do business in Africa, and particularly in South Africa. And they have what we call the AGOA initiative that's just recently signed and extended between South Africa and America, which will allow African businesses and American businesses to exchange without having any duties or tariffs attached to their goods and services. And there's also, the SBA also has some programs to also help businessmen who are looking to invest in Africa and, as well. So, and we have been on the forefront of making sure that those who are interested are aware of those types of programs. The biggest challenge for Africa right now, as the same challenges we have in the U.S., is developing and making sure the middle class is doing well. And that's generally a good barometer for how well your economy is going to do. And so in that regard, South Africa and other African countries are really ahead of the pack, because really their structure has been kind of the have and have-nots. But I think, you know, the good economics, I think the leadership realizes that you have to have a middle class. They really have a good, solid economy, and that's really is what's evolving in countries like South Africa and Nigeria.
Having healthy children is something parents don't take for granted. But for many parents struggling with the news that their child has a terminal illness is quite daunting. But programs like A Child's Wish, created years ago by local businessman Lenny Alsfeld, bring smiles to those kids as well as their parents.
Started it, and they approached us a couple of years ago to do a celebrity waiters event. Bobby Hebert, the most colorful local Saint player in our neighborhood, is the MC, and those dollars are all earned by an auction that's done and also by the tips that they generate. We packed Morton's Steakhouse at One Canal Place, 220 people. The money raised last year when we did it at the Hyatt was $45,000. And for us, that's about 7 or 8 wishes for Louisiana children, because we focus just on our Louisiana children who have a limited life prognosis.
And, and it's so wonderful when you see those children's faces light up, and not just them, but their families. Tell us about that.
Well, when I started this organization in 1982, I was a little bit concerned about how we'd be welcomed, because it's very difficult to enter a young child's life that has been hit with the word acute lymphomic leukemia or many of the other derivatives of cancer. And unfortunately, when a child's afflicted with a very life-challenging symptom, neighbors and family don't know how to handle that and often move away at the time when they need the love and affection the most. And I remember the first time I went on a wish, there was a young boy named Jeremy Christopher. He was a little concerned because he didn't know why I was there. Wish giving wasn't a popular trend at that time. We were one of the very early pioneers in that. And when you sit on the floor with that young child and you look him in the eyes and you say, what would you like to have? Anything you want, we're going to give you. And we're going to let the family participate. You take this heavy burden off their shoulders for just a brief period of time. You see the light come back in their eyes. You see them actually look forward to tomorrow or next week. And it's difficult to never feel bad about exiting that relationship. And how fortunate I am, we've done over 1,300 since 1982.
Yeah, and you started in 1982 because it was a personal thing for you with one of your relatives.
It's true. I had a young nephew named Jason. I was his godfather. And he lost his battle in 1983 to leukemia in Rhode Island. He was the beneficiary of a group called Give Kids the World, unheard of back then. I saw the transformation of my sister, my brother-in-law, and my niece going to Florida and coming back completely revived in their spirit, in their energy, in their belief that, maybe this can be cured. And, I made a pact with my Lord, and I said, when I'm settled in one place, I'm going to pass it forward. And so I was blessed to land in New Orleans, blessed to have so many people support us, because we're a nonprofit. We don't have any paid staff. Right. We've got a board that are fabulous members of the community who give tirelessly to go to Shreveport and to go to Alexandria and to go to Monroe to meet these families and to make special events happen.
Well, that's going to do it for Money Talks. And remember, it's your money, make it work for you. Until next time, do something good for yourself and do something good for someone else. Until next month, I'm your host, Ed Marshall. We'll see you.